Chi-Town Rumble, February 27th, 1989. I think it is the second pay-per-view as Turner Broadcasting took over Jim Crockett Promotions. The first one was, I think, Stark 88. Because when I watched Stark 88, that live pay-per-view at my boss's house, it said Turner Broadcasting. So, yeah, Chi-Town Rumble is the second. I think it kind of made a trilogy or some kind. I actually did not. I didn't get to watch the pay-per-view. It was a VHS tape release that I saw. When I first learned about, I started in 1986 through Worldwide Wrestling on WPHL Channel 17 in Philadelphia. I did not learn about the Ric Flair Rick Steamboat championship match that's going to be here on Chi-Town Rumble. And I was hearing it in the classmates. My class of '89, my senior year in high school, did I learn about this? Like I said, I didn't have cable until 1990. So I'm now watching a video. I think it was probably taken from the WWE Network. And the opening match, Michael Hayes. They said he is like kind of taking a sabbatical from the Freebirds, going solo. Probably Terry Gordy is in Japan, tag teaming with Steve Williams, probably. The opening match is Michael Hayes against Russian Assassin number 2, I think, or number 1. I can't even figure which one. I think the Russian Assassins are Paul Jones's a remake of the Assassins from 1983. They've been around. The Assassins were around. The original Assassins, Jody Hamilton and Tom Ernesto, and then there was other partners afterward with Jody Hamilton. I think the Russian Assassins now are a remake, or whomever's idea was, Jim Herd's or Paul Jones or whomever, that decided that, I think the Russian, the way they put the character over is ridiculous, honestly. It's still, and I read up which one it was. The one that was paid Angel of Death, a wrestler from the UWF territory. It was a so-so opening match. It amazes me that these guys that they get all sweaty and how they wear a mask. It amazes me. Anybody wearing a mask and they get so sweaty. It was a so-so opening match, but Michael Hayes, the one thing that amazed me was that, I think it came from the WWE Network, this video I watched, they had the strange music intros, and Michael Hayes' Bad Street was not played as he entered the ring, where when he was inducted in the Hall of Fame, he was singing Bad Street, no problem. Okay. Like I said, it was a so-so match. It was okay, but Michael Hayes, I think he cut his hair because his hair was a lot longer. But eventually he does a nice he has his own version of DDT. It's not bad, but he finally does a DDT on the Russian Assassin and he gets the pin. And then here's the strange part. Then all of a sudden they play the Bad Street song. His intro is a changed music, like we all hate when the WWE Network doesn't want to couldn't use the original music of most of these wrestlers. But when he wins, Bad Street start playing. It was a so-so match. Michael Hayes defeats Russian, I think, Assassin number 2 or number 1. I don't know which one it was. But it was the Angel of Death from the UWF area under the mask. So Michael Hayes defeats the Russian Assassin in the opening match. Next match of the night, Sting versus Hacksaw Butchery. Now, I never found or never saw that could. I was not a fan of Hacksaw Butchery. I never really got to see much of him. Probably, the UWF territory, Mid-South territory, depending where he fought. I never got to see much of him. The only time I ever saw him, I read about him. But I never saw him much on television, or I saw him when he was briefly WWF. He had a blondish hair of some sort. But I know he became a tag team with Ron Simmons as Doom. He reminds me of very much like a Magnum Morocco or a Paul Orndorff. Very muscular, tough guy. Um, Now with Sting, now here's the ironic thing about this match. It's to me, I think it's Sting climbing a ladder again because remember he had the Clash of Champions 45-minute draw with Ric Flair. He had a shot at the title. Now it's like he's climbing a ladder all over again, and he was the second match of this show. And like he has to prove. I wouldn't lack of saying he would have proved himself all over again. I wouldn't lack of saying that, but he's facing a tough wrestler that Hacksaw Butch Reed has. Here's the thing: that the name Hacksaw, I get a kick out of that name because we all know that Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I don't know if they ever. I assume that Jim Duggan and Butch Reed have faced each other, but it would have been interesting. They should have had if they met in Mid South because Butch Reed and Jim Duggan were Mid South North American tag team. They were both Mid South North American champions, respectively, separately. They should have had a hacksaw, like who keeps a hacksaw name, but because it's rare. I think it's a rare thing that wrestlers would share names like that. But this was a pretty good match, and you got to see Butch. No, I never got to see much of Butch Reed's career. I don't mean tapes or now on YouTube you could, but he reminds me very much of Morocco or Paul Orndorff, very muscular. And a kind of a veteran. I don't know how long he's been around for, but Sting, the young, you would call him a young lion, the young superstar, the young rookie, and it was a good hard fought match. Eventually, Sting overcame and defeated Butch Reed. The funny thing is, Butch Reed at one point was he I think it was Sting did a sunset flip but Butch Reed caught to a point that he held the ropes. Teddy Long, the referee, knocks the hand loose, and then Butch Reed sits down on Sting's chest, but then Sting turned it into the full sunset flip and got the pin on Butch Reed. So Sting wins the match. And then Butch Reed fights back. He's pissed that he lost, and him and Sting roll over the ring fighting each other. Hiro Matsuda is managing Butch Reed, and then Hiro Matsuda is pissed at the referee. He grabs the referee, but almost ready, like he's going to hit him. And I had to read up on Hiro Matsuda. I know he started becoming a version of James J. Dillon, started managing wrestlers, and I had to read up on something that Hiro Matsuda was a manager of the Yamasaki Corporation. Apparently, Wikipedia is saying it's a remake of the Four Horsemen. Huh. I think that Hiro Matsuda is going to manage Ric Flair. I think probably J.J. Dillon. I think J.J. Dillon by then now is maybe working for the WWF in the production area. I think by now. So Hiro Matsuda is now in James J. Dillon's place. And I think Dusty is. I think Dusty was probably now fired and not sure what he's doing. I know he eventually worked. I think by now maybe he hidden for the WWF by now. But this was a Sting Butch Reed match, and Sting won. Next match tonight, and it was a fun match. 6-man tag team match. Jim Cornette's Midnight Express, Bob Eaton and Stan Lane versus Paul E. Dangerously's little modified original Midnight Express. They kept saying Cornette and his Midnight Express were prepared to take on Dennis Condrey and Randy Rhoads. However, Paulie Dangerously claiming that Dennis Condrey's in Colorado taking vacation or some whatever, but I'm on a vacation, so he brings in Jack Victory. And Jack Victory's kind of well known. I remember him well known. He did a lot of kind of masked wrestlers also, but I remember well back to when the UWF had television, and he was teamed up with John Tatum, and John Tatum was associated with Missy Hyatt, and they were UWF Tag Team Champions. Jack Victory also did a lot of work with World Class Championship Wrestling, so I know Jack Victory pretty well. But Paulie Dangerously kept saying that they threw a wrench in the works of Cornette and his Midnight Express because they knew Dennis Condrey so well. And the other modification, there's a special stipulation to this 6-man tag with the managers involved in this wrestling match that whomever is the losing fall must leave the National Wrestling Alliance, leave the NWA, leave that territory of now not Crockett Promotions anymore, but they're figuring themselves the NWA, and later on it'll eventually be called WCW. But this was a really fun match, especially when Cornette and Paulie Dangerously go at it. Jim Ross really slams, I'm not talking physically, but he really goes after Paulie Dangerously, saying that he was wearing a pink outfit. Now, he really goes after him verbally on the mic. He really does. Jim Ross is honestly fun to listen to. He always has been. Jim Cornette's dressed in his red outfit he always has since 1986 when he did 6-man tags during the Great American Bash. With Baby Doll and whatnot, and who Baby Doll would team up with. So he's always that red outfit, but because Jim Cornette and Cornette and Lane are the baby faces, the fan favorites, every time Cornette and Paulie Dangerously go out, whoa, the crowd pops. It was a fun 6-man tag. Very fun. But eventually the fall came down to, all 4 men got in the ring. Eventually, and Paulie, then when off as the match came to an end after 15 minutes, Paulie Dangerously, Jim Cornette, it was really the whole crowd, even Jim Ross, they wanted to see Paulie Dangerously leave the NWA. They were hoping the pinfall would come down to Paulie Dangerously. No, it came down to some kind of double team effort. And Stan Lane and then pinning Randy Rose. Randy Rose leaves the NWA and it breaks up the original Midnight Express. But Paulie Dangerously and Jim Cornette's feud is far from over. But Jim Cornette, Bob Eaton, and Stan Lane defeat Paulie Dangerously, Randy Rose, and Jack Victory in a 6-man tag, and Randy Rose is out of the NWA. Next match of the night, World Television Championship match, as Rick Steiner will defend again against Mike Rotundo. It's a rematch in the previous match from Stark 88. Again, it was practically a copy of the Stark 88 match. Very athletic, both Jim Ross and Magnum TA commentating. Yeah, it was really a good athletic match between the Syracuse, Mike Rotundo from Syracuse and Rick Steiner from Michigan. They were very good. They're very good. I've always respected Mike Rotundo and Rick Steiner. And for the first time, I see a very young Scott Steiner, his brother, and he was at ringside. That was at the first time I've seen Scott Steiner, and I know he came at I've read about Scott Steiner originally in the magazines. I'm not sure what promotion it was. It was called Renegade Wrestling, and I'm not really sure what kind of promotion it was. I remember he won something, but eventually Scott Steiner teams up with Rick, and then the Steiner brothers became one of my all-time favorite teams among my top 3, 4, 5 of them. But Mike Rotundo was always a great athletic wrestler. Again, it was a practical copy of Stark 88. Then, however, Kevin Sullivan shows up and says something about you got a nice dog in the dressing room, and really messed up Rick Steiner's mental capacity to be out worrying about a dog. Then a strange thing happens. Not happens, but something Jim Ross said, that if he gets counted out, they didn't say anything as stipulation. He said, because Rick Steiner's mental capacity is now messed up. But Kevin Sullivan said. He's out, and then Rick Steiner leaves the ring. He doesn't leave to the dressing room area. But then Teddy Long, the referee, saying he got to get back in the ring. Jim Ross says he's gonna be turned to be a count out, or he'll lose the title. What? Not as far as I know or heard that claim. Right? It's not a count out waiver. It's a strange statement for Jim Ross to say. But when Rick Steiner gets in, you got to worry about his mental capacity to handle the match. And Mike Rotundo does a quick move, and he tries to get a pin on Rick Steiner, but eventually Rick Steiner he grabs Mike Rotundo in a sleeper hold, and then he bounces Mike Rotundo head right off the turnbuckle, grabs him back into a sleeper hold, and falls backward. And the thing was, they looked at it that Mike Rotundo is directly on top of Rick Steiner, while Rick Steiner is holding a sleeper hold on Mike Rotundo. But Rick Steiner's shoulders fall flat to the mat, and Teddy Long counts 3. Rick Steiner's shoulders are flat to the mat while holding Mike Rotundo in a sleeper hold. Unfortunately, Mike Rotundo has regained the World Television title. Oh, well, one thing, I think this was accidental. At some point, Rick Steiner's head, his forehead seems that there was blood showing, so something happened. I've never known Rick or Scott Steiner to be types that would bleed in any type of match, even when they were the tag team. So I think something accidentally occurred that Rick Steiner had blood, because Jim Ross never mentions it, that he's gonna cut on top of his forehead. Something accidentally occurred, but again, Mike Rotundo beats Rick Steiner and regains the World Television title. Next match tonight, United States Heavyweight Champion Barry Windham will face Lex Luger, former partners, former World Tag Team Champions, as Jim Ross brought up, and a good hard-fought battle, and both did bleed a little, but ironically, where Luger bled a little is similar to Rick Steiner's previous blood on a forehead, and ironically also where Luger did that slight cut that everybody disliked and didn't understand how the Maryland State Athletic Commission got pissed off that there was bleeding in Baltimore, and they didn't like it. So Luger's slight cut, and Luger's bled. It wasn't a lot of blood, but it was around one of Luger's eyes. And, both these guys kind of made mistakes, but Barry Windham made the biggest mistake. They're outside, and Barry had Luger against a post, but Luger moved. Barry went to punch, went to punch Luger, but he punched the ring post. Oh my God, Barry made a big mistake. He punched with his gloved claw hand. And that's, Magnum TA said, his repertoire. That's his finishing submission move, or finishing pin move, that he copied off his father, Blackjack Mulligan. And whoa, it even seemed like, Barry somehow sold this so well that the glove, you could see his hand kind of, Barry's hand kind of bruised, like it swelled. And then you see blood around. Jim Ross saying he either broke his hand, or broke a bone in his hand, or broke his wrist. Then the camera at times gets a good close up. There's blood streaming from his wrist, and Barry is really showing a lot of pain in his hand. He can't. Anytime he punches Luger, he tipped the claw and held it for the claw hand on Luger a little bit, but Barry really sold that injury on that hand. That was well done compared to the knee injury that Flair did to him during Starrcade '88. Barry went really. But it was a big mistake he ended up punching that ring post. So Luger had a little cut on his hand. Barry had punched his the ring post with his hand or wrist, and it looked like the hand kind of swelled. Eventually, the match concluded as Barry Windham did a back suplex on Lex Luger. Then, as the referee made the count, Lex Luger pulled his right arm up, and then all of a sudden the referee hands Lex Luger the U.S. belt, and the Chicago crowd popped. Barry Windham's May of 1988, when he won the tournament, when Dusty Rhodes was stripped of the U.S. title. May 1988. It is now February 1989. Barry Windham's U.S. Championship, United States Championship reign has ended, and Luger did it. Luger is the new United States Champion. Next match, World Tag Team Champions, the Road Warriors, will take on the Varsity Club members Kevin Sullivan and Dr. Death Steve Williams. Now, Jim Ross did a very interesting boast. He said that the Varsity Club of Steve Williams and Kevin Sullivan were the first team ever to give the Road Warriors a tough match. If you look at that point of view, it did get to that point of view eventually when Dr. S. Williams and Road Warrior Animal, the bigger half of the Road Warriors. Oh yeah, they were in a no, not a knockdown, like knock me down situation, and they whipped themselves in the ropes, tried to knock each other down. It did give them to that, and it was interesting, very interesting. But Road Warrior Animal took down Steve Williams with like a power slam or a body slam. But it was back and forth, a rough, tough. It was a wrestling match, but it was really a rough, tough battle between the two teams. I'm not sure. Would I agree with Jim Ross saying that Kevin Sullivan and Steve Williams? Maybe if it was Steve Williams, Terry Gordy. I said I never saw Kevin Sullivan as a tag team wrestler. That's why I never understood the comment of him being manager or a part wrestler of his varsity club. But honestly, the only team, in my point of view, that gave the Road Warriors a great wrestling match was Rick and Scott Steiner, and they would at the end of the year with Starrcade '89 in that tournament, so-called tournament match, and the Steiner brothers were the only ones to give them a match, and the Road Warriors had said they were our brothers of the street. I remember a quote that was said in a magazine or something, or a newsletter, that they were the brothers of the street. The Steiner brothers were the only team I saw would give the Road Warriors a great match. But Kevin Sullivan and Steve Williams, two big guys, veterans, gave the Road Warriors a great match. And it came down to one. I know I almost got confused at a moment where a double pin occurred. Where, let me get this right. Steve Williams was held down Road Warrior Animal. Hawk held down Kevin Sullivan. Referee, if I'm not mistaken, was Teddy Long, made a 3 count. And I'm not sure who were the legal men in the ring. Teddy Long hands the Road Warriors the title belts. They retained it. I wasn't sure who the legal men in the ring were. So yeah, the Road Warriors won. It was legal men in the ring was Hawk and Kevin Sullivan, and Hawk pinned Kevin Sullivan. The Road Warriors retained the NWA World Tag Team Championship, defeating Kevin Sullivan and Steve Dr. S. Williams. And now the main event: NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And first, I have to apologize because in the first match I said that the date was February 27th. The reason I said that is because back at Starrcade, Bob Caudle kept saying our next pay-per-view was February 27th. I wasn't sure on the date, but I knew they didn't say Chi-Town Rumble. And then I looked up, the Wikipedia. I looked up the results in the show, whatnot. It was February 20th. I have to apologize on that. I am also going to correct Jim Ross, because at the end of this match, he says Ricky Steamboat has been waiting 6 years for a rematch. No, you're incorrect, Jim Ross. It was 4 years. 1989, back in 1984. Now, they had two. Okay, Jim Ross has noted it was a show called The Night at the Meadowlands, a night of champions at the Meadowlands Arena in New Jersey, and I've yet to see the WWE Network put this whole show up. But the match the main event was Ric Flair and Rick Steamboat for the World Championship. It went about 30-40 minutes, and that was Rick Steamboat's last world title match. But before that match, there was another one, March 1984, a 60-minute draw between the two. It was a night based more for Jimmy Valiant, a Jimmy Valiant match, and that match was between Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair was before. I found it weird. They went a 60-minute draw. Then they did the Jimmy Valiant match. I found it weird, and I did a review about that. But Jim Ross was always wrong about that. But he was only on about 1 year. It was 5 years. 1984 to 1989. I'm pretty good. The one thing I'm right about the math on that. Now, the next thing I want to say about Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair. Similar to a Tito Santana, Greg Valentine, there are 3 wrestlers Ric Flair has had his greatest matches: Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes, and Ricky Steamboat. There are a few others he's had great matches with, but not in hundreds to thousands. There's going to be a couple of great matches in 1989 between Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. They've had two or more great matches in 1984. They date back to 1978 when they battled for the United States Championship in the Mid-Atlantic era. Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair. I could never do it justice to describe this match, or any match between Steamboat and Flair. You know, any match between Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair Steamboat, Flair and Harley Race, almost any match Ric Flair's ever had. It's always been said Ric Flair could have a match with a broomstick. He's one of the greatest wrestlers, bar none, of the top 3 wrestlers in history. This match is no exception. They went 23 minutes, and usually a Rick Steamboat Ric Flair match typically goes 30 minutes plus. But man, they went toe to toe. The knife edge chops constantly. Man, Jim Ross was shocked, and he said it sent shivers down his spine. Every single knife edge chop, you name every move in the book, and between Ric Flair and Rick Steamboat, they did it. You know, they kept saying how where Ric Flair was originally from Minneapolis and moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. Ricky Steamboat from Hawaii moved to North Carolina. You know, and Ric Flair comes from a prominent family. Rick Steamboat comes from, he's a family man. He brought his wife and kid to the show, and he did it. In the pay-per-view, now it said that this video at the WWE Network has the dressing room where the wrestlers were spraying Steamboat with champagne. But I remember the VHS tape I saw of Chi-Town Rumble of Rick Steamboat holding his son at the end of the match, holding his son. But I tell you one thing, you are never ever you can never be bored. Never be upset, angry. It's the most entertaining, the most athletic, beat the living hell out of each other. It's the most spectacular wrestling matches you could possibly imagine, without a doubt, between Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. And Ricky Steamboat constantly was doing his flying body press. And there were so many near fall, constant 2 2.5, 2 3/4 counts between the two, and then referee Tommy Young gets knocked down. Teddy Long comes down and tries to check on Tommy that was down, and then Ric Flair goes for Ricky Steamboat missed a flying body press. Ric Flair tries a figure 4 on Steamboat. Steamboat rolled him up in a package, and Teddy Long counts to 3. Ricky Steamboat finally became the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. 23 minutes, 18 seconds. Spectacular match to end Chi-Town Rumble. If you like this video, please subscribe, comment, like or dislike, and thank you for watching.